Good morning, YouTubers. This is Atilla Yeşilada presenting for Real Turkey channel. This is a video I really don't want to shoot because it's going to be controversial. I don't mind controversial, but this is a story where there are few rights and a lot of wrongs, and I'm extremely hesitant to hurt people's feelings, because I'm going to talk about the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict concerning the occupied territory of Nagorno Karabakh and why Turkey takes the side of Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, I must provide some context which is extremely painful to me, and I'm fairly sure to Armenian viewers, if there are any. The conflict or hatred between Turkish people and Armenians goes back to 1915, when Ottoman Empire ordered forced exile of its own Armenian citizens from Eastern Turkey to Syria and Lebanon. Hundreds of thousands perished en route. Some died of hunger and disease. Some were killed by Ottoman militia or, Muslims. Others, by gangs. The Armenians have lived in Anatolia longer than Turks. Moreover, they were one of the most respected and favored subject nations of the Ottoman Empire. Armenians were not treated much differently than Turks until the 19th century. A whole Armenian culture was erased. Armenians call this genocide. Turks call that forced but required exile, claiming that Armenian gangs and Armenians villagers, in coordination with the Russian Imperial Army, were slaughtering Turks in Eastern Anatolia. That part of the story needs to be heard as well, and that's the Turkish narrative. But it doesn't make a difference to me. You call it genocide, you call it slaughter, you call it ethnic cleansing. It is one of the biggest human tragedies of the 20th century. I care about the people who lost their homes, their belongings, and their lives. And it deeply hurts me to talk about that, no matter what the reasons are. But the end result is that Armenians are forever antagonistic to Turks. In fact, an Armenian terror band called Asala has excelled in shooting Turkish diplomats in 1970s and early 1980s. Then it disappeared. Now, Azerbaijan and Armenia were two subject republics of the Soviet Empire, and when the Soviet Empire collapsed in 1991, I believe, both gained their independence. But their territorial disputes were never solved. The area which is the subject of today's clashes is called Nagorno Karabakh, in Turkish Yukarı Karabakh. It is part of the Azerbaijani territory, but it had an Armenian majority. Let's face this. So, the Nagorno Karabakh militia, as well as Armenian army, waged a very bitter battle against Azeris, which lasted from 1992 to 1994, liberating or capturing Nagorno-Karabakh. I'm trying to be as impartial as possible, but they did another thing. Using Russian terminology, the districts or townships or administrative areas surrounding Nagorno-Karabakh are called rayons. They invaded 9 Azeri rayons, where Azeri Turks were in majority. To put it simply, as of today, 20% of Azeri territory is under the occupation of either Armenia or, pro-Armenian Nagorno-Karabakh. And since that day, Azeris, by the way, again, Turkish narrative, Armenians committed either genocide or ethnic cleansing in Nagorno-Karabakh and the 9 Azeri rayons they occupied. At least this is the Turkish narrative. I wish there would be an independent international commission of historians and experts led by UN or the Scandinavians, as they usually do, to lay out all the historical facts and to tell both sides what actually happened. In the absence of that, I go with the Turkish narrative. And what happened to Azeri Turks who used to live in Nagorno Karabagh and surrounding areas is a cause of deep psychological trauma to Turkey and to people of Azerbaijan. Turks and Azeris, just like people from Turkmenistan, are ethnically kin. We're very close and we understand each other's language. Azeris mingle very well in Turkish society, and I can go to Baku and talk to anyone. They use some Russian words, which they obviously adopted while they were part of the Soviet Empire, but with their strange X's and Q's, I can read and speak Azeri Turkish, and they can do the same. So we're great allies, as well as having developed significant economic ties. Azerbaijan pumps over a million barrel of raw crude to Turkey through Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, and they are also pumping a lot of natural gas to Turkey. Moreover, they use the proceeds to invest downstream. They own Petkim as well as the Star refinery. So Azerbaijan is not only a military ally and ethnic kin, but also the biggest foreign investor in Turkey, as well as a major supplier of energy sources. Now, going back to the conflict, almost every summer, the Armenians and the Azeris clash. These don't last long because both nations used to be very poor. And it takes a lot of money to buy the weapons and sometimes the mercenaries to sustain these wars. So not much happened. The situation slowly changed in favor of Azerbaijan, which was blessed by natural resources, oil and gas mainly, as I've said, which they had a conduit to export through Turkey. And they used part of the proceeds to rehabilitate their armies and to buy very expensive gadgets, not only from Turkey, but interestingly from Israel as well. At the end, again, I don't know which triggered the current clashes, but the Armenians and Azeris were at it again. And this time, and I'm quoting international sources, Azeris made significant gains in terms of territory, pushing back the Armenian army / the militia. The Turkish drones and Israeli drones they used in air operations were extremely effective in locating and destroying Armenian armor. So as a result of which, I think 2 of the 9 rayons, which are traditionally Azeri majority, have been recaptured by Azerbaijan. Clearly Turkey helped. Turkey denies it, but I'm fairly sure Turkey sent its Syrian proxies, mercenaries, as well as Turkish military advisors to advise and guide the Azeri army. And I feel no embarrassment in saying that. I think this is what we need to do because Azeris are our brothers and sisters. There has been 2 ceasefires. The first one broke down immediately. The second one is not going too well, despite Russian intermediaryship. I think this war may go for a few more weeks. There are 2 variables here which would affect when this war will end. A, Russia must step its foot down and tell both parties to stop, or there will be retaliation. 2, Turkish President Erdogan and Russian President Putin must agree on a modus operandi. That is, not only on how this Azeri and Armenian conflict will be solved, but also in 2 different areas where Russia and Turkey are actually antagonists. These are the Idlib province of Syria and Libya. I think since Azerbaijan seems to be ahead in these clashes in terms of capturing territory, Mr. Erdogan would pressure Mr. Putin to stop attacking Turkish proxies in Idlib, and to make sure that any final peace agreement in Libya protects Turkey's concessions, one of which is a maritime demarcation agreement or exclusive economic zone agreement, two concessions granted to Turkish government or Turkish private sector entities in terms of oil and gas exploration, as well as in contracting and construction. If Putin agrees to this, I think Turkey will ask Azerbaijan President Aliyev to end the war. Otherwise, it may go on until winter sets in. To the extent of my limited geographical knowledge, Nagorno Karabakh is a mountainous area, and it's very difficult to conduct any kind of large-scale military operation, whether through air or through land, when the winter snows set in. So the war will start at some point. Will the conflict end? No, next year they will be at each other. Azerbaijan is determined to solve this problem, if not through international diplomacy, then through use of hard power. One possible solution is what the Turkish press calls the Süd Tirol model. Süd Tirol is currently in Italy. It's an Italian province, but I think the people who live there are either of German origin or speak German. So the territory is part of Italy, but it is given large autonomy in terms of its internal politics. So they actually run themselves. But when it comes to international matters, of course, Rome decides what this particular territory does. A potential solution to the Azeri-Armenian conflict is to revert Nagorno-Karabakh to Azerbaijan with the understanding and international guarantees that the people there will govern themselves and will never be subject to any kind of aggression or discrimination by the Azeri government. And Armenians will return the Azeri majority areas they have held so far to the Azeri government, which would allow 1 million Azeri refugees to return to their homelands. And if this happens, I mean, the mutual gains would be significant. Turkey effectively embargoes Armenia in many ways, retarding its development. There is no trade. There are no commercial transactions or routes. And some of the Azeri wealth could go to Armenia. Armenia could get richer, and peace is always good for the economy and humanity. This is a deal where everyone will end, but whether we will get there, I look at the world, I'm not very optimistic, but at least there's a path forward, which hopefully everyone pursues. You have watched another YouTube video by Real Turkey channel. We're adding to our programs every day. I wish you would listen to Mr. Cem Çetingüç, our new recruit, who does a weekly news forecast, and we shall add more programs. I want to thank all of you for watching this video. If I have in any way hurt the feelings of my Armenian brothers and sisters, I sincerely apologize. I'm certainly not a nationalist. I have no negative feelings towards Armenians, and I am deeply sympathetic for the plight they have suffered during the First World War. Thank you very much, and have a good day.